Aloha kākou, this is DJ Kano, and we are in Division 2. What we're going to be doing is talking about some of the stations in the White House and maybe the base of operations at the New York side, which is Haven. We'll see what it looks like on that side because it's very different in terms of the setup, where things are, what they do. And the reason for that is because I've been running with a group of new people that are some are new to the game, some are returning to the game from a long time, and the stations are not what they used to look like. They don't function the way that they used to. So I just wanted to go through it, and maybe it'll help them, and maybe it'll help others that are coming back to the game or are new to the game in this stage of their gameplay. I'm going to also talk about seasons and caches and why you want to do things the way that I recommend you do them. So let's talk about the caches foist. Okay, so that'll be in the options button and not the inventory. Seasons, and for the leagues and for the global events, you're going to have rewards. So you see that I have rewards here. I've already claimed a reward because I wanted to open it, see if anything was good. This is something I can use right away. But gear crafting, weapon crafting, these are things that maybe I need it, maybe I don't. These are like ceramics, electronics, steel, polycarbonate. I don't remember which one is in which, but those are the types of things that you get from the open world by opening boxes, right? So, why won't I claim these? The reason I don't recommend you claim these is because if I claim these right now, okay, even optimization caches and so forth, if I claim them right now, they're actually going to pop into my inventory and rest here. They're going to lie here, and I don't even need to open them right now because if I go down to my Shade Watch, I can double check my supplies. I'm full up on supplies. So there's no need to open those caches. It'd be a waste if I opened it right now. And it's also going to be a waste of my inventory space if I claim it right now because I'm not going to use it. So, what do I recommend? I recommend that you keep them here in the rewards section because on the very top you can see time remaining. I have 3 days and 22 hours until the league is over. Once the league is over, you don't lose the unclaimed items. They're not going to just disappear. They end up going into your mailbox. Let's take a look at that. Okay, let's go inside the White House. Goes into your mailbox right here. Nope, not L, R1 mailbox. And as you can see, if I go to deliveries, here's some things that I had from the DC. And then you have gear caches, weapon caches, optimization caches. I said those backwards. But these are all the things here. And as you can see, steel, polycarbonate, carbon fiber, titanium. I might need these later, but I don't need them now. And because my mailbox has 60 spots available, I can leave them all in here. When I start running low, then I can dip into my mailbox, open them up, put them into my inventory, then open them up. But I'm not wasting my inventory space. All right, so that's what I recommend there. Coming back to the name caches and exotic caches, right? Name caches, exotic caches. I claimed them already, and because I claimed them, they go to my inventory and they sit there. People think that when you leave them in your inventory and you open them up from your inventory, it will be shareable. So if I'm in a group with my friends and I happen to have like, oh look, I have two name caches and two exotic caches in my inventory, I should go and open them up. You'll find that sometimes they may not be shareable. Reason for that is you cannot share something just because you open it from your inventory. Sharing only applies to items that you've acquired while within a group, not that you happen to open while in a group. So if you want to be able to share your caches, you need to claim them while you're grouped up, not open them from your inventory. So if you claim them solo and open them in a group, it will not be shareable. So you need to be very aware of that. Okay, so that's how I recommend you deal with your caches from the league and from the global event. Global event will have very similar situation as you can see. Okay. All right. I did not do my global event. Yes. Talking about stations. So, first of all, Quartermaster, make sure you fill up all of your perks. Perks are going to be very important, and you need Shade Tech to do this. So if anybody that's watching this is still working on this, make sure you go and do this. It's very important. You get attachments, and you get max inventory for your backpack, and so forth and so forth. Specializations, you want to max these out too. There's research, field research, that you want to do these because you get outfits, you get the I think, what is that, the gunner, I think you actually get the gunner weapon. Yeah, so you get blueprints for cool things like this. So I recommend that you also work on your research. Once you do the research, just use your specialization while you have it attached to a particular build, and you'll earn points that you can apply to the skill tree. All right, one other thing I didn't mention, but I do want to talk about it, is mods. So I'm going to go to mods, and I mentioned this to one of my friends that I was grouped up with earlier, but I want to explain it here because I don't think I told everybody that I've been grouping up with lately. Um, so if you look at these are two DPS builds right here. I wonder if they're wearing the same thing. Crit damage, yes, that one is. So as you can see, the mods that I have on my mask for this build, the Coyote King, I have crit damage, crit damage, crit damage. So if I go to my Chucky build, crit damage, crit damage, crit damage. But I need you to realize that I don't have 6 11.9 crit damage mods. I only have 3. And I'll show you that here. Pressing square, pressing cross, and hold filter for a hold triangle for the filter, and go to crit damage. I only have 3. And the reason for that is when you create a build, you apply your mods. Make sure if you look in the bottom, press and hold triangle over right so you can save your mods on your profile, on your loadout. Once you do that, and I switch to my other loadout, if you look that I hover down to negotiators, you see that the mod slots on my backpack and chest, they look blank. When I press it, it's actually taking the mods from their slots and applying them to the loadout. So you don't have to keep more than 3 of any given mod because you can only hold 3 at a time, and you'll never be able to put more than 3 of a kind on top of a build. So I recommend doing it that way. If you look at this again, nothing is exceeding 3, yet every single loadout I have are full of mods. Okay? So that's another tip that hopefully helps everybody out. Alright, so why's my mask off? That's weird. I didn't take my mask off. I didn't take my mask off. What are you doing with your mask off? Oh, it's because you're indoors. Jeez, so appropriate. Okay, that's the specialization station. That was the Coop Dennison station. Let's see. Crafting station here. Of course, you can craft different things here, but if you look at the optimization table, for one, field recon data is very important. You need to get the blueprints for these to be able to craft them. Field recon, shade calibration is for optimization. These are very key components. And then, of course, you need these. These are easy. You get these by deconstructing weapons you don't need from looting. You get these from deconstructing gear you don't need. These you get from, I believe you get them from blueprints. Sorry, I said blueprints. You get them from bounties. I don't know why I said blueprints. I think I was reading the word blueprint on top of the screen. My bad. So you get them from bounties and from killing, I believe, named bosses or named faction leaders. Okay. So optimization there. Also keep in mind that if you want to recalibrate something, like an exotic, for example. Let's see if I have any exotics that need to be re-rolled. Um, Dang it, I don't really have any that needs to be re-rolled. Yeah, sorry, this is my main character. My main character is pretty full up. Um, BTS useful, stars are full. Okay, so there's none I can actually do because they're already full. But what I can do is kind of go through the demo real quick. Okay, so if you click on masks, because I'm looking at maybe recalibrating my Vial mask or my Coyote's mask, you go all the way to the bottom, and you can see that I have sorry, I said recalibrate, reconfigure, and you can see the requirements. It does take some polycarbonate, electronics, and so forth. It's very minimal, but you do need exotic component. I have 19. In order to re-roll this, I will just press cross. It'll unmark it as a favorite, re-roll it, and I may be able to get a better roll, and it's going to re-roll all 3 rolls. Once I do that, you might see something like this. It might God roll if you're lucky. If it doesn't, you might have something like this. And if you get a double max roll, I did roll this, and I got an LMG damage, crit hit damage. I had a smaller roll for the damage to target out of cover, but luckily I can go ahead and just optimize that one roll. So I would do the best you can to farm for the highest rolls possible. Do not optimize unless the roll is small. And the reason for that, if I go over to optimization, let's take a look at my Bullet King. Yes, if I look at my Bullet King, you look at the bottom, it tells you what materials you need. So I still need 4 more faction materials for the Outcast. I need 7 more for the, I think that's the Shade Calibration. And by doing this and maxing it out, I only have um, 73. It's going to take more than half of my inventory to max roll this out. So every time you optimize, it's taking so much of your materials, you can't optimize too much. So if I were to try and God roll this, it's going to take so many materials to God roll this. I may as well try to get a higher roll by reconfiguring it and then optimizing it later. So if you can get as close as you can to the right side of the spectrum, I recommend doing that so you don't waste too much of your materials. Okay. I have no idea why I'm losing my voice. This is kind of annoying. All right. That's the recalibration station and the crafting table for exotics. The library. If you're not familiar with the library, so hopefully you are, you're gonna go and click on any one of these things. Let's see. This one I'm actually missing something. So if I go and I'm looking for, oh, where did it go? At maximum value, 11. Oh, it's because reload speed here, right? So you see reload speed, 11.9 instead of 12. So what you need to do is find any of these different weapon items that have these attributes that you don't mind deconstructing, and you add it to your library by pressing and holding square, I believe. When you add the roll to your library, you're going to have that weapon be deconstructed, but the library will hold the memory of what that attribute was in order to re-roll it. And once you have it in your library, so because my library is full, if I wanted to say adjust something, which I can't find anything to adjust right now. This is the worst character to demo this particular video. Alright, so say I wanted to change my Negotiator's Dilemma as armor, I can go ahead and do that by selecting either armor or skill tier. Crit chance, maybe I want to change it over to crit damage. I can go ahead and hold square to transfer it, but again, look at the bottom. I have all those different materials that I'll be using up. So I want to be very careful to make sure I have those materials. And I can take any of these rolls that I had placed. These are all things I placed manually into my library by collecting loot. Okay. So that is that. What else is there? Oh, projects. Pressing on the map and I press L1. These are the projects, things that I can do daily, weekly, and you can see on the left it tells you what reward I get. So by doing a legendary mission, I'll get an exotic cache once every week. If I do where's the summit, clear 30 floors, I'll get an exotic cache and a named item. So these are the things that you can always do, and they refresh every week. The daily, of course, refreshes every day. So these are things you can do all those things, and you can get an equipment item. You get a bounty. So I recommend doing your projects. The other thing that's very important is up here. This is the project person. So sometimes if it says you complete a project, go claim your reward at the White House or the base of operations, you should come here, and once you open it, you'll have claimed your reward, and it'll be in your inventory. All right, what else is there? Make sure that you go to the clan vendor every now and then. This is the guy who's all the way in the back. You may already know about him, and if you do, that's great. If you don't, The clan vendor has some decent things that you can go and purchase, so I recommend it. Don't forget to check your weekly cash. If your clan is active and you get enough XP, as you can see right here, members will have XP contributed. You'll get caches that you can open every week as well. Alright. Let us go to the Haven really quickly and close it up from there. Oh, don't forget that you also have down in here, this room, hunters that you've killed. Here are their masks. So this is the hunter trophy wall. Let's go from here to New York. So I'm pretty sure that covered those stations. Optimization. Yeah, yeah. So I recommend saving a lot of those supplies and optimize only when you need, only on items that are drastically important. I usually save optimization for rare items, so DZ exclusives and exotics. Or maybe just a really, really rare role that you'll never see again. So I make sure I use it for that. So mask room to mask room, these are the New York hunters, the New York masks. All right. Clan vendor is down here. So we just saw the clan vendor. Same items, but here's the vendor in New York. This the escalator over here, and the other one by where you land. Okay, main vendor, same kind of stuff. Here is your recalibration station. Library, station, optimization. Here is your crafting station. And this is where you can do your reconfigurations. Alright, that's that. And for the specialization, I don't know why, but he's all the way out here. This is another vendor here. This vendor, I believe this one is actually unique to New York, so he has different things. I would check this vendor. Unless it's similar stuff to what's at the theater, I'm not sure. Okay, here's the Quartermaster specializations. Okay, so here's where you can change your specializations. So I think that's pretty much it. I am sure I covered all the stations, the important ones anyway. Yep, that's it. Okay, so hopefully that helps out. This is all the different things that you should be doing if you're at this particular stage in the game. Um, when you get equipment, the other thing that you can pay attention to. So say my recalibration library has a whole bunch of random rolls. They're not all maxed out. And I'm curious as to a piece of um, gear that I picked up without coming all the way to the station. I can open up my gear and say that this Eclipse was a new piece. If you look very carefully under status effects, there's a little tiny orange arrow at the far end of it. So that orange arrow tells you where your max roll is in accordance to your library. So my arrow is all the way to the right because it's already maxed out. If you look at your gear, if you have an arrow that's a little bit lower on top of the rail, then that means you compare that to whatever the new piece of gear you have. That helps you determine whether or not you need to save that for your library, or you can deconstruct it right on the spot. Okay. Yeah, since we're talking about gear and looking for things, I'm gonna go and try and find a piece of gear really quickly and show you the quickest and easiest way to manage your loot without having to pick everything up and sort it out later back at the base of operations. So let's see if I can just find a box out here with loot in it. New York has a lot of loot usually, and when I need something, I can't find it. Just give me a box, bro. Nope, I thought there was a box here. I was wrong. No loot for me. Wow, I just need loot for a quick demo, guys. Come on. Where is the loot? Loot, 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 loot. Here we go. Finally. Okay, so if I have loot, and right now I'm looking at it, right? Um, Say it just dropped on the ground. I'm gonna press and hold up. You see that the up on the D-pad says examine. So this is what I'm doing. It's a purple, obviously I don't need it. So if you know you don't need it, press L3 and you can just deconstruct it right then and there on the spot. The only reason I would keep it in terms of marking it as trash is if you want to sell it for credits instead. That's the only other reason. Otherwise, if you know you don't need it and it's going to take up space in your inventory, just carrying it and lugging it around everywhere, deconstruct it. L3, deconstruct. That's a really quick, easy way to do it. So anytime you have a stack of loot on the ground, press up, inspect it first, and then go ahead and deconstruct it. The reason for that is it just makes your life easier. You don't have to sort through so much at the stash when you get back. And you don't have to make so many frequent trips over to the White House or the Haven or to a safe house, basically to a stash box, because you're always filling up with loot too quickly. So I would recommend this, and you can pay attention to your roles. Again, you look at the roles, core attributes. I happen to have my library full, so the orange arrows are to the right, but this roll tells me that I don't need this because it's lower than the orange arrows. If it's the opposite direction and the orange arrows are to the left of the roll, that means you need it for your library, and I would keep it. Okay, so use this strategy. Maybe it'll help you. It might take some getting used to if you're not used to it, but once you get to the point where I have too much loot or I'm getting too much stuff and I can't sort it all right away, then this is going to help you out a lot. Yeah, deconstruct. All right, that's it. Since my voice is slowly fading away, I have no idea what's going on with my voice. I'm going to call it a day and catch you guys on the next one. All right, guys. Shoots.